Wow, guys, this episode of From Today was definitely action-packed. It was a thrilling episode. After we had two episodes that were mostly emotional and drama-driven, now we have an action-packed thriller episode, and I think we got a great balance back and forth, and even some emotional scenes in this episode as well. This was just another fantastic episode, picking up right where we left off last week, which was the ambulance that Tabitha's riding in, returning to Fromville as sort of a punishment for her rejecting the journey that she was sent on by the boy in white. She was supposed to go to the tree with the bottles, the original art piece by Victor's mother. And now there are new characters in Fromville. We got Henry here, two paramedics who unfortunately are not long for this world, and we have a police officer character into the mix now. So this episode, definitely keeping it strong. Great episode. Really excited to break into it with you guys. So we start off right where we left off, like I said, with the tree in the road. And then, like I said, I was like, at the end of last episode, it's like, technically it might not be the Fromville because we didn't see the crows yet. There we go. There are crows right there. And the crows are a recurring symbol now. They represent your entry into this world, but also they represent something else. There is the vision that we had in the last episode where, as they're doing the tarot card reading, a creepy crow breaks through the window. So that's a symbol as well, entering a new state. I wonder what that means. We'll get into that briefly soon. So now we cut to Ethan, and he's looking at some of Victor's pictures. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of this later in this episode and later in the season as well. Here we have Victor with his mother and his sister, I'm assuming, and there's this strange man in black lingering off to the side. So something sinister about that, and there's all these red things. I don't know if these are flowers or what those represent. And then the next picture we get to see is something that is recreated later in the episode. We have Victor and his sister who are under like a tent, and we see this later in the episode where Victor is reenacting that with Sarah. So we will get back to that when we get to it. But I love that little bit of foreshadowing just here at the beginning of the episode. Now Ethan can hear the phone ringing. So it wasn't, in fact, Jim hallucinating. The phone actually did ring, although nobody else in the house reacted to it. So you would think that they would hear it as well. But then there's this shared hallucination, you could say, where Ethan hears Thomas, yet again Thomas, except this time he's helping. And it's really kind of odd that he's helping Ethan, and then Jim picks up the phone, and then the voice on the phone is rude to Jim somehow. So I don't know why he's helping Ethan and not Jim. So there's some type of ulterior motive there where he wants to take down Jim as the leader of this family and bring up Ethan. So he tells Ethan about the ambulance that's on the way, that his mother is still alive and she's in there. So I have to wonder what the motivation is behind the voice on the phone. And then Jim rips the phone off the wall, kind of scaring the kids. Julie's backed up into the corner. She's very concerned about it. And then he kind of shakes Ethan. So Jim's like starting to lose his composure a little bit as we go through this season. So we smash cut to the crow that I mentioned, the bad omen, and nobody wants to even touch it. And now we got some stuff with Fatima, and oh my goodness, guys, what happens at the end of the episode with her? Something is going on with the baby, like I've been saying all season. We'll get back to that later. So now we find out what Victor actually wanted when he showed up to Sarah's house last episode. He wants to recreate his memories. He feels like he has to remember things. Now we have this ambulance. They're driving in circles. They're not listening to Tabitha because she sounds insane when she says we have to go to the town. It's not safe to be out here. Nobody believes her because it would be weird if they did, honestly. So it's hard to really imagine anything else happening. So here we have Boyd and Randall in the bus, and the bus gives them a vantage point to see the town. And Randall knows more than he lets on, and you know, he's starting to kind of turn around. I like how they're turning these characters who were jerks at one point and making us like them in that they are trying to help. So Randall's helped out a little bit this season, and even though he's still his old self, they still retain their character traits, but he is growing in the sense that it is maybe selfishly motivated, but he is trying to help. He knows where these creatures tend to hang out, and he knows that they have habits. And now we cut to Kenny and Christy in the cabin, and they're kind of continuing their conversation from last episode. And one of the themes of the episode, I kind of picked up on two big themes in this episode. So memories is one, and siblings. Memories is one that we picked up from earlier this season. Last episode, Boyd was talking about how he wants to create that board where they write the names of everybody who's no longer with us. Here we have Victor trying to recreate memories from his past, and here we have Kenny trying to remember his mother through the Chinese ritual of writing letters to the dead. There are all of these scenes that kind of line up and show the same theme of memories, and they're being important to carrying forward. You have to learn from the past. You have to remember what's important in life by cherishing the people you care about in the past. The other big theme in the episode is siblings. There are a lot of scenes with people who either are siblings or have a sibling-like relationship. And in this case, we have Kenny and Christy kind of developing that relationship. They used to be a little bit more romantically inclined, but now that Marielle is here, there has kind of been a wedge formed. But now they are more like siblings in this part of the episode, and they have a conversation heart to heart about the loss. And then Jade wakes up in the middle of it and starts to share his own hallucination experiences. So I really like that part too, because he needs to find comfort in others. He's kind of been carrying the burden of these insane visions that he sees because he thinks nobody will believe him, but he needs to share this with other people. So that's kind of another theme, and kind of ties in with the sibling theme and even maybe the memory theme, is that these need to be shared. So here we have Victor recreating a memory from his past with his sister, and now he has Sarah playing the role of his sister. And I thought it was really touching when he said that he can't do it alone, that he's scared, and he needs the scariest person here with him to deal with these memories. And I thought that was touching and also funny because he's like a kid still, and he is just very candid about what Sarah did, even though, you know, somebody else would have more tact in this situation. So I love that it's both touching and it's funny. And we have this suitcase that he unburied, and now we're learning about this memory that we've seen many times since season 1, I want to say, where the boy in white shows up. And that's why I've always kind of had a sinister vibe about the boy in white, because he's just smiling when there's all of these dead bodies and devastation all around him. And maybe because he seems to be trying to help in other scenes, maybe he's just trying to provide comfort to Victor in this moment because it's overwhelmingly horrific. So something about the boy in white there, it seems sinister, but it is also maybe exactly what Victor needs in that moment. So he went around and collected various items from each of the bodies, and that is what he has in here and what he needs to remember. So again, memory as a key theme, and he has been suppressing these memories, and that's not something that is going to help him in the long run. He needs to remember so that they can find what to do next. So again, that theme of memory. So now the ambulance drives by, everybody is alerted to it, people are running in the streets, but the creatures are not showing up in their normal routines. And that's because they are leading the EMTs into a trap. They have one of the monsters in the street. Tabitha tries to warn them, and then we get 2 kills in the episode. And then here we have a police officer who does not understand what's going on. Henry is able to kind of snap out of it and realize he needs to get out and moving, despite the fact that he's severely injured. So here we have the police officer running to the colony house. So the police officer here sees the monster coming in, and I think, given how we have so many points in this season so far with the monsters being smarter than they have let on before, that this was done on purpose. That this monster knew exactly what he was doing when he stepped in front of that window, because he knows that the police officer is popping off rounds left and right, and she misses and hits somebody in the window. And this is another theme where this was somebody that we were not liking in the first episode because she was trying to rush Fatima and being kind of a jerk, and then she asks for forgiveness later on, and now she, spoiler alert, dies in this episode. So I think that the monster knew what it was doing, because I think that they're powerful enough that they know they can swoop in and take her out right now if they want to. But they have all these points in this episode where they could inflict more violence, but they choose not to. So I'm really wondering what is going on here. I think it has to do with the psychological and emotional energy that people are giving off, and they need to feed on despair and fear and all of these things. So they can't just kill everybody and slaughter everybody, because that would go against what their actual goal is. So that's my theory. There has to be some reason why they're leaving people alive in this moment. So obviously everybody's at odds with the police officer. She just killed somebody by accident, and they try to save her and it doesn't work. And then Randall goes back to find Toolbox to free Tabitha, because she has been handcuffed to the ambulance. And I love this scene here where we have one of the monsters dangling the keys. And she says, we're keeping Randall, but you can have the keys. So this is a point where they could have killed Boyd. They could have killed everybody in this ambulance, and they're choosing not to. And again, you have to wonder why. There has to be a good reason for it. So Boyd has to make the hard decision, and he decides to take the keys and leave. It's again a classic trolley problem. One person versus everybody in the ambulance. And it kind of sounds like he had no other choice. But this choice really starts to break him. And all the monsters are closing in on Randall. And he realizes that Boyd left him. And he's still hallucinating. And one of the other themes of this episode is that Randall and Julie saw stuff while they were kind of asleep last season. So they're seeing things. They don't really remember these things, but they know that there are worse things out there than dying. And I think that Randall says that in this episode, and we're going to find out what he means with the end of this episode, because he's not dead yet. So something worse definitely happened, in my opinion. So now we are all converging on the colony house. So here we have Elgin, and he was somebody who had prophetic dreams last season that kind of led to the solution to the problem they were having. And now he's having dreams where he's seeing someone in kind of an Asian dress who has like zombie-like features on the face and just is bloodied as well. This person is asking him for help, and only he can see it. This person, I would say, based on the sunken in skin and how wrinkled she is, it seems to me like this is somebody who drowned, especially because she came to him in the bathtub and was kind of drowning him, and now she's asking for help. So I think that this person drowned. Now, whether that was in this community, whether she was here, or who knows what the significance of it is. Again, this is just another theme of different people from different places ending up here, different time periods even, and for some reason he has a special connection with this hallucination. So even Tilly can't see it, or at least is pretending not to, and then he's led here, and then she disappeared. And here's another sibling scene with Julie and Ethan, and they talk about how they need to look after each other. And Julie reveals everything about the visions she was seeing, and she doesn't even really remember. So again, we have the sibling connection, we have comfort in others, and we have the memories, all these shared themes embodied in this particular scene. So a really good scene here, definitely an emotional scene as well. So here we have Jade talking about the hallucinations he's been seeing, and how Tian Chen knew what the symbol was and knew everything from the storeroom, had that notebook. And Kenny says that Tian Chen actually liked him and stuff. It's a touching scene, really good. And then we see Victor going through all of the items. This watch belonged to this person, this cigarette container belonged to this person, and he's just going through and remembering all of these things. And then he remembers something that scares him. He jumps out of the tent and he remembers the puppet. So we've seen this puppet several times before. We've seen it in the colony house. We've seen it, I believe, in the underground area where the monsters seemingly sleep, where the symbol was. So there is significance to everything. And it definitely sometimes feels like the things are just random, but it never is. They definitely have a plan for all this stuff, or if they don't, they definitely come up with something after the fact. You know, I think the writers know this puppet's not just random here, it's significant of something. So we have this character who was using the puppet to try to make people happy, but then the puppet started to have a life of its own. It started to talk without anyone moving its lips. He's like arguing with it. He started seeing the symbol, so just like Jade, he started to see the symbol, and I have to wonder if that's going to lead to something bad for Jade. The fact that the last person that we know of who saw the symbol started to go crazy, and even that notebook shows you that they started to lose it. Now, whether or not that's this guy's notebook or not, I guess we'll find out eventually, but there's some significance to this doll, and Victor says that the doll knows something. They need to find the doll and talk to it, so I guess we'll find out what happens with that later on. And here we have the girl who was shot. She dies, and then Boyd is starting to lose it. Again, this whole season has been about trying to break Boyd because he challenged the monsters to do that at the end of last season, and it's starting to work. So he's coming at the police officer. Instead of being the peacekeeper that he normally is, he is coming at this police officer, and not in a calm fashion. He's being, emotional. So it's definitely starting to get to him, everything going on. And Donna as well. Donna is like, go upstairs, and you think that Donna's going to kind of be like, hey, we can't be the chaotic people just lashing out all the time. But then she's having an emotional breakdown too. And it's just, it's really a touching scene as well, a very human scene. So these are the two leaders of the two halves of the community, and they're both starting to break down. So it's definitely starting to get to everybody at this point. And then we have Fatima, and she's saying goodbye to this person, but I knew as soon as she closed that door, given the eating rotted crops last episode, that it was going to end in a nasty fashion. And yes, she starts cannibalizing this corpse. Now, she doesn't take any bites yet that we saw, but she's licking the blood off of her fingers. It's twisted, it's messed up. There's something wrong with the baby, something evil about the baby. And even Tilly earlier in the episode says she thought that the crow was a sign. So something bad is going down there. Very disturbing. And here we got the final plot twist of the episode. Randall is back. He is on the ambulance. And they also turn on the lights in the ambulance. So that's the creatures kind of being smart again. They can open gates now, and they can also turn on the light, and unless just the force of him falling on it is enough to do that, but I don't think so. So they plant him there and then turn on the lights to get people's attention, and he wakes up, right? But remember, Randall earlier in this episode said there's things worse than dying here, and I think that that's going to come true. Remember the deal with the keys that they gave to Boyd. They said, we're keeping Randall. This is not the Randall that we know. I don't know how they are keeping him. Maybe he will turn into one of the creatures. Maybe it's a transition process. He has a chunk taken out of his flesh here, whether that's like equivalent to a zombie bite and he will eventually turn, or maybe he will pretend to be normal for a while and then use the opportunity to attack. I don't know what this means, but he's also he saw the bugs, and he was stuck between the bugs and the monsters, and he couldn't make a choice either direction. So all of that is going to come to a head in the next episode, I think, but I think the real Randall is no longer with us. So I'm really curious what you guys think, if you guys have any theories about where we're going, but definitely let me know in the comments section. I'm really, really loving this show. Can't wait to see next week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.